Space, the final frontier. Well, okay, not really. All right, take two. Here in the Mitten State, welcome to Code 47, bringing you all things Star Trek, spanning the quadrants, the best thing since the neutral zone.
We are back again with the Code 47 podcast on the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. This is episode 155. I am Charlie Carden, your humble servant, Trek Lord of West Michigan, joined as always by my number one in the Star Trek sense, Mr. Peter Stein. Good evening.
Good evening.
Excellent. We are actually recording early as I am off for the weekend with fellow SFU founder Todd Oxtra and my oldest friend Brian Cole. We're going to do some Chicago stuff, go across the pond. But if you're
had some Chicago dogs for lunch.
Oh man, I stay away from that Chicago pizza though. Chicago dogs with no ketchup though, right? Because I understand that is purely not. Yeah, oh, yes, and absolutely not. If you're a Patreon, though, you're listening to this over the weekend where everybody else is getting it on Monday, because that is one of the great benefits. You're going to love this segue of being one of our Patreons over at patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite. Like I said, this show always comes out at least 24 hours early. Other shows are exclusive, like all the great interviews that we did. Just last night, Peter and I talked to Andre Boreamis, who was a writer on several Star Trek shows in the Orville. Super nice guy. Love talking to him. Exclusive Discord channel, all kinds of fun stuff for as little as, after the free week you get and the free month you get at half off, it's as little as $2 a month. That's crazy. It's a situation where you're losing money if you're not doing it, because your ears are not experiencing the greatness that we bring. I feel bad for you if you don't have our Patreon.
It's a pity, really.
It is really. It's quite sad. But anyway, these awesome folks are on board. My buddy Derek, a.k.a. the Figure Dude, Francie, who does my wife's hair, Mr. Xbox Expansion Pass, friend of the show, Luke Lohr, and my Uncle Tim down there in South Haven, Michigan. Heck of a nice guy. Also, John Sedorf, Brendan Myers, Corey HD, Matthew Keel, my buddy Kurt Krug, who I'm introducing to pickleball in a couple of weeks up in East Lansing. We're both MSU grads. So look forward to that. Tanya Lee, Chipotle Bear, Famous Seamus, Jay Newport 007, Cam the Movie Man, Brian Osterman, a.k.a. Darth Prozac, and Mr. Freight Conductor. We are happy to have all of you with us again over on patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite. Free week, half off, $2 a month. Like I said, what are you waiting for? You'll be so glad that you did it. Peter, am I drawing a blank on any Trek news we've had in the last 2 weeks?
I haven't really heard anything. No.
Yeah, I feel like we had a big burst, obviously out of San Diego, new figures from Nacelle, and then obviously we had the trailer for Starfleet Academy, but we covered all that with Jo Colton when she was on with us last episode. So without further ado, we're just going to talk about some strange new worlds, and I'm wondering, Peter, of these two episodes, if we're upside down on this one, because it sounds like you didn't love on the first one, and I'm going to tell you I did not love on the second one. So let's get into it, because it was crowd pleaser plus not a crowd pleaser.
Yeah.
We'll see how that brings out. But anyway, we're going to talk about episode 4 of season 3 of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. It's called the Space Adventure Hour. La'an is tasked with testing the holodeck, air quotes, a new holographic simulator, and she asks the computer to create a murder mystery for her to solve. It generates a scenario where the cast and crew of a 1960s science fiction program called The Last Frontier, using the likenesses of people who have boarded the Enterprise and used the transporter. That sounds familiar. When La'an is trapped, what? And the holodeck safety protocols fail, huh? Scotty sends a message that it literally always happens. Scotty sends a message explaining that she must solve a mystery in order to end the simulation. Let's get into it. I'm having a good time because I'm supposed to be having a good time.
I mean, it is a fun episode. I will give it that.
Peter is not having that good of a time. So let's paint the picture. We get a great cold open. It's pulling right from obviously TOS, but it has dumbed it back to like 1940s quality level sets. You have
they're doing Buck Rogers or Flash Gordon,
right?
in terms of
exactly.
like set design.
And you have, a cast of 3 people instead of a cast of 7 or 8 people. If I'm not mistaken, so in this scene, they're having this faux emergency where they're facing an alien. The alien it was Rebecca, wasn't it? Wasn't it Rebecca Romaine Stamos?
Yeah, based on the jaw. I mean, I didn't go look at the credits, but based on the jaw, that's who it was. And this episode was also directed by, I'd like to say friend of the show, but that's probably taking it too far, Mr. Jonathan Frakes, personal hero of mine. Look at the beard. But Peter, so it was a fun episode, but I know when you and I were talking earlier this week, you were having some misgivings about the bigger picture, the
kind
meta
of
narrative behind it. Yeah.
So talk to me about that. So
so the issue with this that I took is I couldn't figure out if it was just an homage to TOS or if it was just kind of making fun of it in the sense that it was made in the 60s, and so to some people like to say it's just cardboard sets and it looks cheap. And then we had the Zap Brannigan style Shatner acting because it was taken up to 11,
12. It was 12.
TOS and like ramped it up even more. So there was that. There was even like the alien, which is funny, but TOS would not have someone holding ski poles. Like the makeup was gooky, but it wasn't that level of bad. So like it was interesting how you had like the set design. You had panels that looked like they were pulled from a fan recreation of the bridge of TOS. You had all of the original sound effects that were undoctored. So they weren't like modified with the extra little bleeps and bloops.
Little phaser noises and the transitions with the screen and everything.
All of the sounds they recreated in
the recreation room.
Yeah, they recreated the 60 a shittier version of the 60s opener with the original title text. Without like the 3D effect. So that's like it's hard to like is it an homage? Is it making fun of it? Feels like it's making fun of it. And then you also have like you have stand-ins for like real people. Like they're fictional takes, but like Gene Roddenberry's doppelganger is a schmuck, which he did have schmuck tendencies, but it just feels weird to do that.
Yeah, and of course we don't want to speak terribly ill of Gene because we love talking to his son Rod.
I'm just saying, like the main thing I'm thinking is like Alexander Courage and him writing lyrics, and that was a little underhanded.
Star Trek.
Yes, that was a little underhanded, but like so they're showing the Roddenberry version to be a schmuck, and then my great aunt gets murdered on screen. I'm not sure what I think of that.
Your great aunt
Lucille Ball. So that's who Rebecca Romaine was playing a version of. So it was just, I don't know. And then there's like this whole thing with Uhura's character, who I don't know who she's what she has an analog to. I couldn't figure that out.
I suppose not.
And she gives this whole like speech about like how Star Trek is important. Obviously, they're talking about the fictional show, but it's like, and people are passionate about it, and they live in it, and they love it, and it helps them. And I'm sitting there going like, yeah, maybe you should listen to that.
And it was kind of funny because it was a show that had only been on for a season and they were teetering on the brink of being canceled, which that's really the way it was. I mean,
well, that's how TOS was anyway.
TOS was, they tried to cancel it 3 times and it was third time's a charm because they were always trying to get rid of it. It's merciful that the bit of it that is, look how crappy it is simply the framing sequence, and then as the end credits roll, they're doing the B-roll of it, which again,
the bloopers were funny. Like he tries the Riker maneuver and breaks the chair. That was hysterical.
And Rebecca is like, God damn it, when like something is going wrong,
she falls through the view screen.
Exactly. But the middle portion of it, which is obviously the holiday program, I found enormously satisfying. I did obviously love Celia Uhura's speech, although it was very on the nose. There wasn't really a lot of subtlety that they could do trying to make that point.
It was not subtle, and I thought it was a little ham-fisted. Like, it had a good sentiment, but it was just like,
right. I do kind of think it's, weird, but not weird. And then we end up seeing Jim Kirk again in the episode in episode 6, which was out this week. That they're working really hard to get him in there, because I think the fan reaction to Paul Wesley playing the role is probably really very strong, and they're giving people what they want to see.
A lot of people really like him as Kirk.
However, for the purpose of this episode, his appearance is like, well, here, when they're setting up the parameters of the program, Scotty's sitting there and talking Lon, or I just call her L in a lot of my notes because it's easier to say. He's showing her, like, here's these 8 people we're going to use for your program. I'm like, why? Okay, but why Kirk? I mean, he's not a member of the crew.
He's been through the transporter once.
Yeah, I know. So
why not Mr. Kyle? Or
it's or somebody else, but you get kind of where they're coming from. But so this was, I love that they painted Amelia Moon, which is the Dixon Hill character, as a childhood favorite of Lon, and they kind of walk through that. So really, even for her, the roots run a little deeper than they do for Picard and Dixon Hill, which he just admires. But with Lon, you get it runs a lot deeper because she had this terrible childhood, and this was something that was comforting to her.
Really,
so
it was well done. It was just a little, obviously, because I've seen things too many times.
Right.
But I was sitting there going like, that's the big goodbye. That's Elementary Dear Data. Like, there's a lot of stuff that are borrowing from other holodeck stories, which, as we were talking about last night with Andre, it's like, after there's so many stories, it's going to happen,
right?
Because that's just how it works.
And that's as we kind of glide into the next episode when we get there. I kind of felt like they're borrowing for things outside of Star Trek.
Oh yeah,
they're also making big jumps that are just like, oh, why are you doing that? But we'll get there. But I'm right back to being totally fucky with the rank stripes. Okay, so Lon and Spock are their Lieutenant JGs, but Scotty is a first lieutenant because he's got a broad stripe and a narrow stripe is a JG, like it is in the Navy, or like it is one Pip Hollow-Pip, but a full band is lieutenant. Uhura doesn't have a band, which is ensign. That's consistent with TOS. Una has 2 full bands, as does Kirk. When we see him in 6, she's still a lieutenant commander, though.
She should have a narrow band then.
But then she would be a Lieutenant JG. So you see why this is madness to me. So I was trying to figure out, is it different by division color, maybe? Because if you were
Chapel has 2, like the nurses have 2 all the time,
right? But Chapel's not even Starfleet at this point. She is a civilian something or other, but she has 2 bands. They do establish that Joseph is a commander by rank. I know he gets referred to that more than once. So, but if you look at the uniforms, like if you wear a red uniform, your stripes are red. If you're wearing a blue uniform, your stripes are dark blue.
Nuts.
It's just, I just can't let it go. But it just kept stabbing me in the eyeballs. We'll get into that in the next episode.
That's prescient.
Yeah, I guess a little bit, but yeah, you're right. Just like Andre was saying to us in our conversation last night, which will be out soon for you to listen to. The holodeck safety, the holodeck safety's failing happens 8 times out of 10. Like, it didn't really happen in like the Vic Fontaine program in DS9, which we'll talk about when we get into talking about DS9 here. But you kind of have to make it happen. I mean, the stakes weren't super scary. Like, oh, okay, well, the holodeck safety's failed and they're in a World War II simulation and they might get murdered. It was a murder mystery and something bad could happen. And I was gonna tell you, I didn't pick Spock as the killer. I thought that was pretty great.
I was not surprised when it happened. Yeah. I don't know that I had picked it out, but there were just too many inconsistencies, and I was like, something's up.
Right.
And so when they revealed it, I was like, Elementary Data. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. And it was, I did write button on the episode, the outtakes from the fake show.
Those were legitimately funny.
Directed by Frakes, which I think just everybody loves him. He's a very lovable guy.
Really good job.
Yeah, absolutely. I do love Scotty's appearance because Uhura figures out, well, if you kind of phone in or we do what is it, like a fake television, he's wearing like a bowling shirt. I thought that was great. That
whole bit was fun. The one thing that I didn't quite like about it is that they seem to not be letting Scotty kind of do things on his own.
Right.
Throughout his appearances. Like, he does a lot, but he doesn't have here's the solution.
Well, it could be they're trying to stretch his. I mean, he's about 5 years away from being the Scotty we know.
No, I get it, but like he should have at least 1 or 2 moments where he can do that. Mm-hmm. And like every time we've seen him, he's always had Pelia looking over his shoulder. This time it's Uhura looking over his shoulder, or it's Una looking over his shoulder. Like there's always someone who's helping him. And Scotty is a genius, and we need to be able to see that, other than him cobbling shit on the wall. Right. And so it's for me, it's just one of those, like, let the character do something amazing at least once, because we do need to know that he is a genius and can come up with things on his own.
I'm not going to say there's an episode in the back half of the season where that might happen. I'm not going to say that.
Oh, well, I mean, I said it just needed to happen once, right?
I'm not going to say that. What was okay? So the only thing that deducted a point for me, because this was a 9 out of 10 for me. I enjoyed the hell out of it. It was really a lot of fun. But Spock and Lon, and now they're in a romance. I mean, just stop the prostitution of Spock. That we could call this episode that, but it would get flagged. But yeah, don't stop. Yeah,
red light, blue light.
Yeah, I'm just so very sick of Spock getting passed around like a doobie on board the Enterprise.
I mean, I said that before, where it's just like he's kind of the whipping child and just kind of gets thrown around. And it's like, Spock is an iconic character, right? But let him do Spock. Let Spock be Spock.
Maybe just like with Scotty, maybe they will come a point where
that's what I've heard. But as I've said before in the podcast, I think that he needed to be more Spock-ish already at this point. It's not quite
right.
For me, it's not quite believable of where the character has been in his home life, what he's been through, to where he is going to be. This isn't a believable midpoint for me. Some people can justify it, but for me, it doesn't quite work.
I mean, I can see it. All right, where do you land with the episode? What's your 9 out? What's your rating?
This one's probably gonna be like a 7.5.
Okay.
Just because I just did not like the meta of it and how it kind of cements in everyone's head that TOS is cheap and shit, and I don't like that. It's a fun episode. It's got a lot of good stuff in there, but some of the meta stuff behind like the real people and the real show are like, kind of gives me the I don't like that.
I will jump in. We did get some comments from the socials, which I was excited about. I got specific and I said, because this was the crowd-pleasing episode, I figured, all right, we'll ask people about this. I got someone called My Figure Universe, which is at My Figure Universe at Blue Sky. I really enjoyed the episode. Wasn't expecting the holodeck twist at the end, and I found that refreshing. Like we talked about. Nice. I honestly really like the Lon Spock scenes. I'm a sucker for dancing. That's fair.
To each their own.
Personal preference. Schloss Ritter, who is a big player over on our SFU Discord, they seem to be alternating between serious and silly episode. Good balance. That is correct.
That seems right.
Because if it was all serious and misery, this show would be called Star Trek Discovery. Did I just say that out loud? No, I didn't. Joan Lansbury, who's one of our followers over on Blue Sky, I loved everything about this episode. Okay. Fair enough. Works for me. Fair enough. Okay. Well, that's going from something that I'm enjoying to something that maybe not so much. Episode 5 is called Through the Lens of Time. Medical assistant Dana Gamble joins an archaeological expedition led by Chapel and Corby, my least favorite couple, exploring an ancient temple-like building. When Gamble picks up a glowing orb in the ruins, it explodes in his face, blinding him. Ooh, bad day at the office. Or bad day out of the office. After he is transported back to the Enterprise, the temple locks, trapping the rest of the away team.
He should have pulled his Arnold. I knew I should have stayed home today.
Yeah, right. I'm not even supposed to be here today. From Clerks, which, we need to get into that. Man, this episode just did not work for me. That being said,
I liked some of the concepts in this episode, and I think that's where mostly it got me. Like
I think that's fair.
Like the Chapel Corby stuff is I'm still kind of like.
Well, every episode where Chapel is featured as a major character makes me hate her more, which sucks. I've met Jess Bush. She was on the cruise when we went the first time. She's delightful.
She's a lovely person.
She absolutely, and this is her first. I remember this from my research. This was her first major role in North American television. She came over from Australia, and this is her first gig, as I understand it. So
that's a pretty good first gig.
Landing on Star Trek, getting a gig for life, and getting an iconic role from the original series that was portrayed by Gene Roddenberry's wife.
Joe Parrott.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, but this portrayal of Chapel just makes me want to punch a baby. And she just infuriates me. She's every self-centered girlfriend that anyone has ever had. And excuse me for speaking as a cis white male, but I've dated women like this. I've wanted to get serious about women like this. And she just treats Spock like dirt. Do you notice how she's making a mountain out of a molehill just in the turbo lift when they're writing, trying to get him to talk about, well, are you upset that Roger's on board? Are you upset? It's like, bitch, don't talk to me. Okay. No, I'm not. I'm doing my own thing.
Like, she should know Spock at this point. If he wants to talk about it, he'll talk about it. Especially this version of Spock.
Yeah.
Leonard Nimoy's Spock, probably not. Yeah. But this version of Spock, if he wants to talk about it, he'll talk about it.
Leonard Nimoy version of Spock chucked a bowl of Plomeek soup at the Major Barrett version of Chapel. But
if he's angry.
Yeah. And then one scene I did value was Chapel confronting Lon or L and being like, Lon's being like, let's not be women who do this shit. He and I, we're doing the thing. We don't have labels. We don't have expectations, which means they're probably just dancing and then banging. Sorry. That's kind of how that works. Yeah.
Let's bang. Okay.
Let's bang. Okay. I can't make that the name of the episode, but I want to.
It's a Mass Effect meme reference, but yeah.
Bang, okay. This is when they're in the I was going to say the escalator. That kid is back on the escalator when they're in the turbo lift together. She's like mumbling and grumbling and biting her lip and says, "Back, why are we all so quiet when we need to talk?" And I said, "Bitch, we don't need to talk. Why not put Chapel next to the hull where they need a window because she's transparent. She is just so thirsty to get his attention and just say, really
they're trying to like do the whole of how she's like still pining after him in the original series,
right?
And like, let's still do that. It's like gross,
and we
like
know
especially because she's in an active relationship right now.
And Corby is going to run off because he disappears. She doesn't see him for several years, and then we get him back in the episode in the cave where Kirk is holding the big penis.
Yep. What are little girls made of? Yeah.
What are little girls made of?
That's an episode. Yeah.
And somehow he going from sorry about the spoiler alert for a 60-year-old episode, he loses his accent when he becomes an android because he's got an accent here.
That does it. It is one of the things that when you recast, it's always a little funny when you're like, hey, we're going to recast and now this person has an accent, or if they did, now they don't. And it's like,
right. They did that with,
you can change how they look, but
they did that with the dude who was Sarek in the JJ movies. He had a big, thick British accent. And I'm like, Mark Leonard was from South Haven, Michigan, which is my mom's hometown. Yeah, they don't talk like that there.
He speaks Midwest.
Yeah, exactly. So, but anyway, now we're off the rails here. So they're really teeing things up with Joseph, having a buddy cop speech with, I started calling him New Guy Nurse because I forget his name. And then later on, I gave him a different name, which I won't say just yet. It's not dirty or anything. I'm like, they're really teeing this shit up that something bad's going to happen to this kid. It's like, come on.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those, like, I remember how Discovery did this, like, horrifically with, what's her face? The cyborg.
Was it Aaron?
Ariam. And how it's like, hey, let's give her a focused episode, and then she dies in the end. And it's like, guys, stop doing this.
It's the most absolutely classic trope, which I just said is the buddy cop speech when two characters have a moment where they're like, I love you, man. No, I love you, man. Or add like
trope to trope. He like hugs him, and it's almost like a thanks, Dad. Oh shit, I shouldn't call you Dad. You're my boss. And it's like,
and I talk about the show all the time. Fox's 24, which is a very favorite show of mine from the early 2000s. There were two characters that were married. One made a big sacrifice for the other. They both lived, but the character who made the sacrifice went to jail, then got out of jail, ended up back in the plot line to the next season, and his wife was the big boss, and he ends up saving her life, and then they reunite and have a big hug, and he's like, everything's going to be fine now. I'm going on this mission with Kiefer Sutherland, and then he gets kidnapped.
Yeah.
No, he lives. He did live.
He lives. Okay.
But it was like, everything's going to be just so great now. And then he's going to get shot in the face by the bad guy. Yeah. So no good.
Yeah. The interesting thing about this episode is they skirt like what the theme that they originally postulate.
Right.
Which is like, how did this race view life after death, immortality?
Right.
And then they kind of sort of talk about it with dimensions and like different temporal dimensions.
Right.
And then it's like, oh wait, no, it's a prison. They must have done something wrong.
Which they stole from a TNG episode called Power Play in season 5.
It also felt a lot of this also felt very much like it wasn't just Power Play, but it also felt like the episode was Sargon from TOS.
Oh, the All Our Tomorrows?
Yes.
With Diana Muldaur.
The little, but like the little glowy balls, right?
Yeah, right. Little glowy balls. We can't use that title. We've used it in the past.
Yeah, unfortunately. But it was just like, there was a lot going on that felt like that episode and Power Play.
I mean, everything was super teed up. So the Starfleet is helping out, but Corey's like, well, I don't like having Starfleet around because they're gonna cramp my style. And
you guys follow too many rules.
Yeah, and Chapel's all, well, I'm on your side. And then when they get down there and things start to get a little fucky, pardon the expression, Spock's like, no, Starfleet protocol says we got to go outside. We got to call the captain, clear and present danger. Well, Spock, and then they ask their
she ends up doing it anyway.
Yeah, they ask their Sherpa, who's the local guy from the planet, like, hey, dude, is it cool if we stick around? And he's like, and he says some cryptic bullshit, and they're like, okay. And then 2 minutes later, that guy gets vaporized by his own temple.
Yeah, and they have this weird reason of like, well, I offered blood so only people can come out with me. Okay. I mean,
chirp.
The one thing that random technology note that just popped back in my head, I did find it amusing how they brought back the phaser redirectors from the cage.
Oh yeah, there you go. Where they can beam ship's power down to the big
to the
apparatus,
the little cannons. Like they redesigned it, but I thought that was kind of that was cool. It's kind of neat. I like that you brought that back.
So I wrote I thought blood sacrifice and blood magic. I wrote it reminds me of Peter Venkman from Ghostbusters. I love this plan. I'm excited to be a part of it. Let's do it. When they were going to vaporize the temple to melt the marshmallow man.
Yeah. It is kind of like that.
So we then get a crisscross with Temple of Doom from Indiana Jones because there's dead bodies on the ground. Mm-hmm. And then when we're finally ready to get out of it, it turns into a leap from the lion's head will prove his worth.
Oh, man.
From the Holy Grail. I was like, where's the fucking Holy Grail at the end of that thing? Then they push a button and they get out. I just wrote, this whole mission is fucky. They can't take another landing party down because, we don't want to piss off the local government.
And it's like everyone's dead or not there. Oh, and random location note. I'm pretty sure this is the same canyon that was used in the movie that should not be named.
It was also used to represent Talos 4 in season 2 of Discovery.
Yep.
So I wrote one of my early working titles for the name of the episode is Stop Trying to Make this Toronto rock quarry happen. They're trying to turn it into Vasquez Rocks. Yeah. I was just
stop saying the rock quarry, Janet. It's not going to be a thing.
Exactly. Oh my God. So from all of this, and then the bad guy they identify, which is in the male nurse, because he starts changing. He starts going back and forth.
Grabs one of the balls. It blows up. And then he gets possessed after it eats his eyeballs,
which is totally fucked up. And he's killed, so he's a zombie. And they identify the creature as Vesda. Does that sound at all like Vecna from Stranger Things? Because that's the big bad in the previous season. I'm like, you guys, come on.
And then the dumb thing is, that this idiot is going to come back because they store him in the pattern buffer instead of like.
I cannot comment about that.
It's kind of it's a Chekhov's gun, but it's one of those like.
You know what?
Scotty says, "Where'd you send him?" Nowhere. I'm like,
it's putting
please like scatter his molecules like you did in the Time of the Wolf episode.
The Wolf in the Fold.
Wolf in the Fold. Like, please scatter his molecules like Wolf in the Fold. Why did you put him in the buffer? No one wants that.
This is pushing the tee onto the ground and putting the golf ball right on top of it. And you know what? It's a shot that I would hit. It's a shitty shot. Yeah. But Marie Battelle wanders into the room when Eye Socket Boy, which is my name for him now, is having a thing, and they go full profits versus the power rate. So tie back to DS9.
Yeah, which
they go full kung fu fighting. Man, they're throwing each other around and all this. I'm like, damn.
Which then throws into the whole question of what does she have in her? Because clearly, when they had the Spock thing, there's something with the Gorn about that, and so it's I don't know. It's like, okay, what are you doing with this whole Gorn thing? And now there's this other thing connecting. What are you doing? I'm not loving it. So this is maybe it'll make sense later, but right now I'm just like,
I got to be honest with you. I did watch episode 10 earlier this week, and I was satisfied with the way that it ended. Yes,
do they wrap this up a bit?
Yes, they do wrap this up in completeness with the little bow. And I'm sorry to jump ahead. I can't say anymore. It's not allowed.
Nope, that's good.
Yes, absolutely. I was starting to write because I haven't seen this episode in like 2 months because I watched the screener when it came out. But I was listening to Pelia's episode as she was wrapping it up, and I'm like, that's a little hacky until she goes, God help us all. Oh, don't forget, Erica's dumbass brother, which is all I refer to him at in the notes because I can't stand him, is here, and he's part of the away team. So I'm like,
dumbass.
Let's bring, why don't we bring Grandma on the away team? It's like, let's beam down to a dangerous planet and bring a bunch of random ass, some Starfleet, some obnoxious civilians, that would be Corby, and then the dumbass brother.
Who his tech does help the plot.
Kinda,
but he's also like, it's like, oh, we're in a different thing, and there's this special algorithm that the AI is running. It's like, stop using AI when you don't understand. Like, stop. It's not a magic word. You can talk about the computer being able to process stuff. Stop using AI as a magic word.
I got 2 words for you, and it's the analogy from the MCU: quantum realm.
Yeah, basically. But
everything goes along with the quantum realm. But it's just
like this thing has a very sophisticated AI that can help it see through different dimensions to pick up things. It's like, that doesn't. No, you have to program this differently. That's not how that works.
Stop trying to make fetch happen. Oh my God!
It's another one of those. And then, there was a lot of just stuff that was very, very strange. In
the end of it, yes. Anyway, I was starting to say about Pelia's speech. She did, God help us all. Do you want one for the camera? So it's like Carol Kane.
Did find that little gag that they went back to one or twice. That was funny.
I mean, Carol Kane has always been magnificent, and she's the Pelia role is she's the ultimate comic relief. She's perhaps the best that Star Trek has ever had, quite frankly. Yeah. I can't think of anybody who does. I mean, Armin was terrific as Quark in a different way, but I think Carol Kane. I keep wanting to call her Carol King. Was a wonderful singer-songwriter from the 70s. She's Carol Kane, who was on Taxi in the 70s and a wonderful comedic actress, and she's great in this role.
Yeah. Another random thought that I had while I was watching this was there's the audio show that I help with. Yeah. There was an episode that we did. Well, I wasn't on the team yet, but there was an episode that was done that was they picked up the personification of death, basically, and shit happens. But there's some moments that the Eyeless Wonder has with Joseph. Boy. Yeah. I couldn't remember your nickname for him. So,
close enough.
So where he's basically trying to manipulate people and show them doom and stuff. And it felt very much like that.
Yeah.
So it was just like, huh.
I
can't say that anyone's listening to the show that I help that's writing for Strange New Worlds, but it was just a weird coincidence that it was like, I've heard something very much like this before, not on an official Star Trek thing.
Hey, Secret Friends Unite, let me tell you about Zencastr. We use them for our show, and now they're supporting us. Zencastr is now the all-in-one solution making podcasting easy. It's the ultimate web-based podcasting solution. Provides high-quality audio and video podcast production and hosting. With a full suite of professional tools, podcasters can seamlessly record, produce, and publish studio-quality content, all from one dashboard. Being a creator has never been easier. And we chose Zencastr because of the ease of use, high quality output, and it makes it super easy for our guests to come on. We had multiple solutions we tried before, and Zencastr has just been the best fit for us. Why Zencastr? It's now super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. Log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. Record studio-quality sounds and up to 4K video with your guests. Feel a sense of zen knowing Zencastr's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable. Have you ever worried what you sound like? Zencastr's post-production process makes you sound buttery smooth. It automatically removes those ums and ahs in your recording. It removes those awkward pauses in conversation too. Set the right podcast loudness and levels while reducing background noise with the click of a button. So if you're interested in making an easy, high-quality podcast just with the click of a browser button, go to zencastr.com/pricing and use my code SFU1. You'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. I want you to have the same easy experiences I do for all my podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. Now back to the show.
You never know. All right. Don't. So to rate this, this one was down in the dismals for me. This is a 6 out of 10 for me. Yeah, I mean, I'm not telling you about that there's going to be a part 2 that's going to wrap up. I can't tell you anything about that. But honestly, it's not even really a series of unfortunate events like, oh, we did everything right, and then shit went wrong.
No, they just went dumb the whole time.
Spock was right. Corby and Chapel were assholes. And if they were in Starfleet, Tim would have taken them out behind the woodshed and slapped the shit out of them. It was just it was super dumb. They didn't need to go in there, and it's not like, oh my god, we couldn't have never seen this coming. I saw it coming a mile away. You don't go into it's like, remember in Endgame when Rhodey was saying to Nebula, he says, this is the point where spikes with skulls on the end of them come out of the wall when you go into something called the temple of, oh god, I can't even remember what it was, where they're going to get the Power Stone, and it was the temple of the something death or whatever. So I'm just like, okay. This was that. It was like, it's the Scooby-Doo gang going into the house that they shouldn't go into. So
but it's Scooby-Doo mixed with like an actual horror movie where everyone forgets how to use common sense for a good portion of the plot.
They didn't have it to start with. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, that wraps up talking about Strange New Worlds. We're back with episodes 6 and 7 next time. Mm-hmm. And we have a special guest. I don't want to mix up the name. And sometimes our guests change because we had a guest planned for this episode, but because we had to record early, it wasn't possible. So we have a schedule. We'll see if it works out, but we do have some great guests still lined up before we're done talking about Strange New Worlds. So, all right, let's hop, skip, and a jump into part 3 of season 7 of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Now, we are getting into the thick of it because by the end of this block, we are into the 10-episode arc finale of the series, which is absolutely incredible. But to get there, we got to actually have some fun first. Yep. But only once before we get there, because a lot of the other shit is pretty serious. So I'll get us started. Episode 14 is Chimera. Did I say that right?
Chimera.
Thank you very much. Directed by Steve Posey. I don't know the name, but Renee Echevarria is doing our writing. From Feb of 99. A changeling, Laz, played by the magnificent J.G. Hertzler. Great guy that both Peter and I
Which
have met.
Which is just really funny because it's like he plays Martok and then it's like, oh, and now he's playing
I know.
And you can tell that he's using a different register of his voice. It's quite an interesting performance.
I know. A changeling, Laz asks Odo to leave the station and join his search for other shapeshifters. So it's a great launch into continuing to illustrate Odo's core conflict, which is I'm a changeling. I don't want to call myself a founder, but I'm one of the changelings,
and I want to be with my people.
And this guy he's my brother, not only in the sense that, we're all brothers because the drop becomes the ocean becomes the drop, yada yada yada. But we're part of the same fraternity of changelings that got shot in a rocket like Superman off into the cosmos to discover other life. So it's like, I want to be with this guy, and I want to learn about, what was your experience living with solids like? Because this guy's been out there probably longer than Odo
it
has.
Sounds like he's been out there longer, because he had a marriage, he's been around.
Yeah, he's been around, and it's really cool the way he comes about. So the episode started that it's Chief O'Brien and Odo coming back from somewhere, and they're having some small talk, and then this big flappity space alien guy flies over the top of the runabout and blobs in there, and then that's how we meet Laz. And so they bring Laz back to the station. Laz, he's kind of a dick.
He ends up being kind of a racist douche nozzle.
Yeah, he is having dinner with the regular crew, and he's really shitty to all of them. And then time's kind of come that he's going to mix it up with some Klingons, which he accidentally kind of sort of kills one in self-defense. And then they, want to prosecute him for it. So he's like, Odo's going to help him escape. But he's like, Odo, you got to come with me. Living with the solids is total bullshit. It's not for you. Come be with me. This is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be with your people, and I'm your people. So let's do it.
Odo says, And it's Kira who lets him out.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Which is great, because Kira's just like, I want Odo to be happy. And you see that you kind of see it click in Laz's head. Mm-hmm. Of like, maybe not all solids are terrible.
Yeah, maybe my wife just sucked, which can happen.
Maybe everyone else I was around was trash, but maybe there's some good solids out there.
Right. Yeah, because you never find out where he was. I mean, maybe he was on Romulus or something. And it's like, well, okay, well, you're gonna get what you pay for.
Yeah,
yeah,
living with the Romulans.
Yeah, I mean, or somewhere, because again, they were obviously not through the wormhole because the war is going on. They were still in the Alpha Quadrant.
Maybe he was living with the Zenkethi. Like, that would be terrible.
Yeah, exactly. Or some other really crappy, war. Like, I was living. Don't bring the Gorn back into it. Yeah. Oh God, what if he was hooked up with a Gorn chick?
Do not imagine that.
Yeah. Now I want to be Eye Socket Boy.
But did he have a Gorn wedding where Boimler drops in and everyone goes...
or maybe it was Andorians and they have groups of four, so he had a co-husband, co-wife, whatever it is. Anyway, solid episode. I mean, enjoyed seeing the continuing pull and tug of Odo's inner core, and seeing how his relationship with Kira has developed, that she's making sacrifices for him, but ultimately he wants to be with her, so he stays, but it's tough for him. So it was a really, really very well done episode.
Yeah. I quite enjoyed it. It's a really good kind of deep character study into Odo.
Yeah.
For me, it still doesn't quite justify him leaving Kira at the very end, but
right. Spoilers, come on.
Spoilers for an older, like a 20-year-old ending.
Yeah, and an episode, that we'll be talking about in 25-year-old ending that we'll be talking about in a few weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. So it does give some justification. I just don't think it quite gives enough. So.
Fair enough. All right, the next one is yours. This was a birthday episode. My birthday was the day before the Monday that this came out. Yeah, it was 23. All right.
Episode 15. Bada bing, bada bang. Directed by Mark Vihar, written by Ira Stephen Barrett and Hans Beimler, aired on February 24th of 99. The crew attempt to help Vic Fontaine when Vic's hotel is bought by mobsters Frankie Eyes and Carl Zemo.
My name is Zemo. I never really, until I watched this again, I'm like, I wonder if they kind of boosted that. It's not spelled the same. There's an extra Z, but Zemo from Marvel.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, not quite the same kind of character. Yeah. Well, you only really see at the end of it, but wow, yeah,
this is a fun episode.
Right.
Like, you just, like, what's really funny is it starts and like O'Brien and Julian are trying to convince Vic to go fight on the Alamo with them.
It's like me trying to get people to play pickleball, right?
Yeah.
Like, no, I don't think so.
And Vic is just like, nah, that's not really my thing. I'm more of a singer. And he gets up there, and then the computer glitches, and all of a sudden there's like cabaret girls and all sorts of other stuff. Exactly. And he's just like, eh.
Yeah, right.
And then two mob dudes show up and like, hey, Vic, what you doing in?
Yeah, right.
It's just,
Frank,
and then it just gets more shenanigans from there.
And it's interesting. So they take it to the point where everybody's like, "Yeah, we gotta, we what can we do? We gotta change the part." Well, this was a thing that Felix, which is funny because it's another toss back to James Bond, because Felix also designed the Julian Bashir secret agent program.
Yep.
Said no, this is a what do they call it? A Jack in the Box or whatever it is.
An Easter egg,
an Easter egg. Basically, you have to solve this with. It's a puzzle to solve within the program. You can't just delete it. And you can't go in there and shoot him with a gun because it'll trigger a mob war and stuff. Like, you have to find
and you can't just reset the program or it'll make Vic forget everything.
Right, exactly.
Erase everything you've done.
So, and it's funny because they're all talking about the synopsis, and Cisco walks up and he says, why don't you guys all get back to work? This is, I don't want to listen to your bullshit. And he's really harsh, but later on, the gang is developing this plan and Cassidy's a part of it. And Cisco's like, I can't believe you're doing this thing. And she's like, what's your beef? She says, well, it's a recreation of the 60s. And, the incredibly racist pre-civil rights 60s where, black people like us were treated like crap. And I don't want to be a part of that. And
it's a really interesting line after that.
Yeah. And so, but he does come around. What's the particular line you were thinking of?
Oh, she says like, yes, it was bad then, but think of this as what it should have been.
Right.
This is a fictional recreation of that period.
Right.
So it's still got this. It's still got the mobs. It's still got the casinos. It's still got the bada bing sort of stuff, but it doesn't have the racism.
It doesn't have
all the fun stuff of all the fun stuff of the period.
It's not the oops all racism. I'm sure there's a program like that out there. Nobody wants to play it.
Quarks. I'm sure it exists.
Oops all racism.
He's got Nausicaans and douche nozzles who show up. So
I don't know if I could end up making that the name of the episode, but I think we're on the side of caution. Oops all racism. So in the end, Cisco comes around, and then they execute this extraordinary, elaborate plan.
This very Ocean's 11 sort of just absolute shenanigans.
Everybody's playing a part, and I love it how Nog is the safecracker. Everybody except for Quark and Rom, like, they stay out of it. And Lita's not in there.
And Garrick's not there either.
And Garrick's not there. Yeah, none of them want to get involved in this mamby-pamby bullshit. And you know what? I get it. From the because it wouldn't really be the same as for the characters, but I love it how Nog's a safecracker using his Ferengi ears, and in the end of it, they're successful. They make it appear that Frankie has robbed the casino because Carl Zemo shows up, and then Frankie goes outside and takes a little drive in the desert, I'm sure, and we don't hear from him again.
Yeah, he goes.
Yeah, bye, buddy. And an absolute wonderful capper. I've always loved the button on this episode, which is Avery Brooks on stage with, I forget the name of the guy who plays Vic Fontaine, because he was Moondoggy in the old Gidget stuff from
James Darren.
Thank you very much. The two of them singing, not only because Avery Brooks is an incredible vocalist, but the song The Best Is Yet to Come. Well, we're about to get into the last 10 episodes of this series, the best Star Trek series, and probably the 10 best episodes, end to end, when you put them together, in an absolutely incredible story. And again, low stakes, but fun. They still accomplish things. You see a little bit of kind of interesting character interplay with Cisco, because Cisco doesn't get involved with silly bullshit, but with this he does, and it really plays off. So
and there's a glorious slow-mo shot of them all getting ready to go into the holosuite.
They do that.
That's just a great shot. I'm sure it was mostly used for the teasers for next week on Deep Space Nine, but it's just great.
It was a total cool guys walk away from explosions kind of moment, like walking, and the guys are checking their cuffs, moving their hats around, ladies are straightening up or whatever it is. Oh yeah, it's good stuff.
They're all just like dead staring at forward.
Yeah, and then Quark watched them walk by. He's like, "Oh, what the fuck is going on? Oh my god!"
Morn just kind of
Yeah, more and mornings. Mornily. Let's try to say that 5 times fast. Oh, good stuff. All right. Oh, this next one's yours. What a gem. What a gem.
I think it's technically yours, but I can pronounce the Latin.
Oh, you're
if you
right.
want.
Okay, please do.
Okay, episode 16. Inter arma enim silent leges.
In time of war, the law falls silent. I did remember that. David Livingston handling the directing from a script by my guy, Ronald D. Moore. From March of 1999, while attending a diplomatic conference on Romulus, Bashir becomes an unwilling pawn of Section 31.
Once again.
The only non-Voyager appearance of an Intrepid-class vessel. The Bellerophon, which is the ship that takes them to and from Romulus. I've always had a note. They spend a lot of time in what is Voyager's mess hall. Now, remember, this is season 5 of Voyager was filming when this was being produced. They obviously took a day or maybe a day and a half to do all their scenes and pickups and reshoots, I'm sure, on those sets. You will remember in episode 2 of Voyager, Neelix's kitchen was a space he took it upon himself to convert out of the captain's private mess, which should have been right there. There was a kitchen in this room, which was obviously meant to be that same space. That's always driven me nuts. That's just a Starship guy thing. But it was super cool. I've always loved the Intrepid design. It's right behind. Oh, it's right behind me here. Maybe I'll tilt a little bit. Ta-da! Yes, I've always very much enjoyed the Intrepid design, so it was cool to see that. But we get Senator Kretak back again, replaced by heartthrob, 70s and 80s heartthrob Adrienne Barbeau. Who was in The Fog, which was a horror movie Ted and I talked about on the podcast last October. She was in Swamp Thing, which was a great adaptation of the DC comic in the early 1980s. And we get returning characters, though, recast of, I think, is Neural, who is a character we saw he's the Praetor now, but we saw him in Unification. That was the character who was orchestrating getting Spock implicated in this big invasion.
Invade Vulcan, yeah.
But this is very interesting. So obviously a masterful turn by Bill Sadler as Luther Sloan, or just Sloan. The name Luther, which we get later, may not actually be his name. So that's
one of the things that's really great about Deep Space Nine's version of Section 31 is it's never really clear who Sloan is, who he really works for,
and what he's doing.
Section 31 actually is, and what the hell they want.
You really don't know.
And I think that's brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, underscore. So Bashir is tapped to find out if it's not Neural, but the other guy in this.
Yeah, the Tal Shiar head, if there's an assassination attempt against him.
And it's the same actor who plays Silic in Enterprise.
Yep. I noticed that. I was like, I recognize that chin.
Yeah, exactly. Can't get away from it. So it turns out to be this kind of wild plot he gets wrapped up in.
And then he decides he can only trust the Romulan ambassador, and that ends up being kind of the right choice.
Right. But in the end of it, she's the one who gets exposed because she helps him. And was Section 31 plan to get rid of her because they thought she was too dangerous? Because don't forget, in the first episode of the season, she was portrayed by a different actress. They were putting a missile base on a Bajoran moon secretly and thinking that they could get away with it. They could strong arm their way into it, and eventually they back down. So it's not like she's some, great, wonderful human being.
She's not a humanitarian by any stretch.
Yeah, exactly. So was getting rid of her the more important thing to do. So
I always, the way that I saw it when I was watching it is it felt like it was Section 31 or Starfleet trying to find a way to get Bashir to show that he was relying on a Romulan, even though it was technically the wrong one for the Romulan government. But it's like a Starfleet officer trusted a Romulan over his own superior officer about an assassination attempt against one of our people.
Yeah.
That helped to build a layer of trust between the Federation and the Romulans, and particularly the Tal Shiar, that would not have happened otherwise. So I think that this was it felt to me like that was the plan.
Wow. So I didn't really ever think it through to that conclusion. But yeah, that's what makes it so brilliant. It's so layered and like so much Star Trek. You can take so much from it based on how you see it and watching it again and interpreting it differently. So, when Todd and I are very much different, we'll never watch anything twice. And I don't really like people who really get into a franchise.
You can completely re-understand or understand differently something on the second or third watch.
Absolutely correct. So, but you know what, to each their own. I totally get it. But all right. Let's get into
hilariously. Sloan dies, but most certainly is not dead at the end.
Yeah, because he turns around and he's like, "Here I am again. I'm sitting in this chair, watching you sleep." Well, that's a little
again.
Yeah,
like,
at least he's not sitting there with his phone. Oh, I didn't see you there.
Yeah, that would.
But yes,
that could be a title for an episode. Oh, I didn't see you there.
Yeah, right. Oh my God. So anyway, we're not done with. Luther Sloan, air quotes.
Not yet.
Luther Sloan around everything soon. All right. We're beginning the 10 episode finale.
Mm-hmm.
This one's yours. Go for it.
Yeah. So this is episode 17, Penumbra. Directed by Steve Posey, written by Renee Echevarria, aired April 7th of 99. The Reader's Digest version is Ezri searches for Worf, who has disappeared. Sisko makes plans to marry Cassidy Yates.
Yay!
Everything goes wrong.
Everything goes wrong, right. And really, we're rolling with this. So Ezra and Worf get captured by the Breen. They're being tortured. Sisko breaks
most of the torture we see in the next one, because this one they land on a planet.
Right.
And they're like struggling with, am I more like Jadzia? Do I still love Worf? And Worf is like, well, you kind of are. You're still Dax, and
let's have sex.
Yeah, and which then blows up in their face in the next episode.
Right.
But,
and this is our first time seeing the Breen, who are only ever really mentioned in both Voyager and TNG. We saw them in DS9 back in season 4. It was a Breen prison camp.
Yeah, but we didn't see the Breen themselves. Yeah.
I mean, no, we did, but because it was a mine, remember, and it was Ducat's daughter.
I keep forgetting that we see them. I just kind of because you see them so far away. Then
right, it was not really, but they get captured. So getting into the next episode, I think we'll just kind of roll through here because so much of it is end.
For Sisko, though, Sisko has a vision of his prophet mom.
Yeah, prophet mom,
and she appears and she's like, "You can't," because Sisko proposes at the beginning of this episode to Cassidy,
right.
As he's building a little model house. It's like, I was hoping it would be our house.
So cute.
And then he pulls out a
sprocket.
It's not a ring. It's like a fitting.
Yeah.
And like uses it as a proposal thing. And so then, we're going to have a marriage. And then it's like, this is a huge thing. And everyone wants to be involved.
Yeah.
But then he has a vision from his prophet mom saying like, this is going to be miserable for you. You have to walk this path alone.
Yep.
And so then he's like, I have to break it off. Damn it. She's not there yet. So he hasn't said anything. We don't get that until the next episode.
Right.
But like that's kind of what's going on in this episode, is some loggerheads about romance.
Right, exactly.
You're living in the shadow of what you want, which is why the episode is called Penumbra.
Exactly. Till Death Do Us Part is episode 18. Winrich Colby, veteran director, coming back. Thompson and Weddle doing the writings, two of the top guys. April of 99, captured by the Breen. Ezra and Wolf undergo mental torture. Sisko agonizes over his broken engagement, and Kai Wynn is like, well, there's some prophets. But she has her first vision and learns a messenger will be sent to her. And interspersed with the return of Gul Dukat on Cardassia and having some scenes with Damar, who is basically the redheaded stepchild of the Dominion and just drinking himself to sleep every night. But Damara hooks Dukat up with a great plastic surgeon who kind of turns him into a Bajoran. And this simple Bajoran farmer comes and is the messenger that...
that Kai Wynn is looking for.
Like, we are headed down. We're headed down kind of the shit highway. But the good news is Sisko says, you know what? Prophet Mom can suck it. I'm getting married, and still, even Kira is so devout. She's like, well, I wish I could be happy for him, but the prophets told him not to do it. And,
she has very mixed feelings about it.
Yeah, right. I mean, as much as she loves and cares for Cisco as a friend and a mentor of sorts, he's supposed to be he's supposed to be the emissary, not a man. And he's being a man and making the choices that a man makes in his life. And it's not going to say
every right to do, but
yeah, right. People got to live their lives. So that's a tough one. And Nana, who was on our program not that long ago, plays that expertly. I mean, she really does. Because even when he gets the advice, and why didn't he just not tell anybody that? Well, the prophets told me not to get married. Why don't you just kind of tuck that under the rug?
It is one of those weird things that he makes that such a big thing.
Right? Why tell anybody about it at all?
Like he said it to Jake. I get that.
But it didn't appear on the Jumbotron on the promenade for everybody to read.
Well have. But.
Yeah, I know, but he's running around why would you tell Kai Wynn any of your personal business?
Why would you tell Kai Wynn? Why would you tell Quark?
Yeah, exactly.
Like you're struggling with this. Why would you get Quark involved? There is a really good moment there with Quark where he comes with the ring and he's like, I think it was one of those things that got Cisco to think, and that's why they did it. It was just like he hands him the ring and it's like, it took me a really long time to get that. Be ashamed to waste it.
Right. Which is, what? True love. I will tell you this as someone who was married before, very unhappy, got married again, blissfully happy for 11 years with April. Took me a long while to get there. You don't waste it when you find it because it's not around every corner. Yeah. So
it was kind of cool to have Quark of all people give him that nudge, that little bit of wisdom.
Absolutely. Good stuff. All right. Well,
yeah. And then we also have, just as a side note, we have Ezra and Worf doing crazy dream interpretations. And
exactly. Yeah. They're still in this.
It's funny, but it's silly.
Yeah. They're still in there getting zapped, but they're imprisoned on Cardassia now. Yeah. And we still don't know why the Breen have shown up. We don't really know, but we're going to find out. Oh my goodness. All right. So
Episode 19, Strange Bedfellows, you wondered why. Directed by Rene Auberjonois. I can't say his last name. Auberjonois. Written by Ronald E. Moore. Aired April 21st of 99. An alliance is born between the Dominion and the Breen, which will prove devastating for the Federation. Ezra and Worf are sentenced to death on Cardassia.
That's all that ever happens there.
Yeah, everyone gets sentenced to death.
Is everybody sentenced to life on Cardassia?
Miles goes to Cardassia, sentenced to death. Ezra and Worf go to Cardassia.
When you're born on Cardassia and you have teeth, they take one and they put it in a little box and it goes to the Ministry of Teeth. Ministry of Teeth, new name.
There you go.
Oh, yeah, Ministry of Teeth.
Yeah, it's not the Ministry of Truth, it's the Ministry of Teeth. And then after Kai Wynn figures out that her visions are from the Pa Wraiths, she's initially horrified.
What?
But then she kind of goes along with it.
She's like, the prophets have been shitting on me my whole life. Plus now I'm hooking
I'm
up
the
with
Kai. They
dude.
Can't give up on me. And this is, I think, the episode where she has a heart-to-heart with Kira, and Kira is like, okay, well, you're having these doubts and all these things, and like cool. the Pa Wraiths are going after you. Like that's a spiritual thing, I understand, but you should step down as Kai.
Yeah, and
because you're not in a place to be the spiritual leader of the religion of the prophets. And Kai Wynn's like, what?
She was like, what?
I'm in power. Why would I give that up? And you see the slimy wind from earlier.
Yeah,
that we've grown to know and hate. Kind of raise her head again and be like, ew, she just wants power. Ew. Oh,
you know what they say about people who have power? If you ask them what else they want, they can say, well, I could use a little more power.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all that people who are corrupt and evil, we don't need to make any relevant examples to the world we live in, but people who are extremely corrupt and evil just really love being in power.
Yeah, and to cross our streams for a hot second, it's very reminiscent of that scene in episode 3, the only thing that people who have power are afraid of is losing their power. And you see that in Kai Wynn right here.
Right. And then you see it later in that exact same character later in the movie when he says, I am the Senate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So,
oh my God.
But yeah, so we have Damar kind of wrestling with stuff. We see him start to meet with some other Cardassian leaders, and something's afoot.
His right-hand man, like his
because
boy,
he's just like, why are you making decisions with the Breen without me? You're making concessions and giving away Cardassian territory. And of course, Wayun's like, is it Cardassian territory? I thought it was owned by the Dominion.
It's as a loyal, citizen of the Dominion, you'll do what you're told. So here, take your bowl of gruel and shut up.
Yeah, it's very much like the Dominion play favorites with whoever they're trying to put under their foot.
Right.
And you see that very, very clearly here. Like you saw it at the beginning with the Cardassians, but obviously Gul Dukat didn't understand that.
Right.
And we're seeing that play out. And then you can see it's like, oh, they're just grooming the Breen for the same thing. They just don't know it yet.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that is a line that Damar said. He says, well, don't you see it? He says, you know what? The war is taking longer than they wanted, and they blame us. So if it doesn't ramp up quickly, who do you think they're going to blame next? You're the latest flavor of they're the flavor of the week. Yep. They're the new bimbo girlfriend who the next bimbo comes along. That's going to be the flavor of the week.
Yep.
Bimbo or himbo, excuse me, equal opportunity.
The founder, you never know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, they're not really. They're really very genderless. Exactly. So, all right, we'll wrap this up with the bow. Episode 20 is The Changing Face of Evil. It feels fun saying the names of the episodes like this, doesn't it? Yeah. Mike Vihar handling our director. We've got Ira and Hans Beimler doing the writing. Also from April of '99, the war reaches a critical turning point when the Dominion takes Chintaka system, the only Allied foothold in enemy space, and we lose the Defiant.
I know.
The Defiant since the Search, first episode of season 3, and she is destroyed. Oh, it's a heartbreaker.
She comes back, but
right. Sort of, yeah. She comes back in a very 1701 to 1701A exact same model kind of situation.
Yeah.
Wynn learns that Dukat plans to release the power rates, and Damar begins a revolt against the Dominion with
this description awesome feels like it needs to be read in the Clone Wars announcer voice almost.
And the walls, I can't think of one of those speeches.
The war reaches a crucial turning point when the Dominion retakes the Chintaka system, the only Allied foothold in enemy space. Wynn learns the Dukat plans to release the power rates, and Damar begins a revolt against the Dominion.
Dun dun dun, dun 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 dun. Star Trek. Oh,
yep. My God. The way it's written, it begged for that.
Yeah, it was a banger. I remember watching this the first time and being like, it's like watching the Enterprise get blown up, it was just it was hard to watch.
My sophomore year of college when I saw this episode for the first time, I think, and I just remember sitting in my dorm room chair watching this going like, what the shit did I just see?
Yeah, right. Oh my God.
So much happened. And
then they ended. So our last scene, like last 4 or 5 minutes of the episode, is Bill Ross and Sisko talking about I don't know how I'll do it, but I'll get you another ship. And Sisko's like, she was the finest vessel I ever commanded. There'll never be another like her. Blah blah blah. And Kira says, she's like she's on the phone. Guys, you got to get out here. There's something on the internet that you got to see, live stream. And it's Damar saying, well, for 2 years we've been part of the Dominion, and they promised to make us the masters of the Alpha Quadrant, and they basically now treat us like the whipping boy. 7 million Cardassians have died. We have no new territories. We've lost territories, and we're fucking sick of it. And so as of now, we decided to blow up this cloning facility in the blah 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 system. And I just love that our beloved Jeff comes to the camera and says, they blew up the cloning facility. They can't make any more Vorta. He says that's why he did it, just to get rid of me. It's
Which
awesome.
Was great.
And so and then they wrap it up right there. So instead of going like, what are we going to do? You're going to have to wait for our next episode to find out what they do, because this whole next arc is amazing.
Yeah. I also found it interesting the stuff that because when I was first watching, the stuff that also interested me was the whole thing with Kai Wynn and Dukat. Like, as much as Dukat is a schmuck, and you know that this is only going to end badly. It's kind of interesting how you have the her vet, her Prylar. Her assistant, who's cast to be like this craggy, very unpleasant dude.
I mean, he has a craggy, unpleasant face. Now, he could be a wonderful guy, but
he's kind of cast to be like the unpleasant church bureaucrat.
Yeah,
like,
right.
That's what he is.
Church bureaucrat.
They exist, and it's. So he's very unpleasant. And so, like, the interesting thing is in the story, especially when you look at earlier episodes, they're trying to make him kind of like, you don't like him.
Yeah.
But then in this episode, you start to see a flip where he is trying to protect Kai Wynn from this bullshit. And so you have this guy who's like, he might not be an enjoyable or pleasant dude, but he tries to do the right thing. And then Kai Wynn kills him for it. And it's his blood that unlocks the Book of the Pah-wraiths.
Right.
And it's
like, do you really, maybe that's just kind of a bad sign?
Yeah, it's one of those like, Adami. Can we call you Adami? Like, this was a really bad decision.
Yeah,
like,
right.
if something is unlocked by the blood of someone you murdered,
it's kind
and
of
that's what has to unlock it.
It's very Army of Darkness. There's no doubt about
there's
it.
Something wrong there.
Yeah,
but I thought it was interesting how you had like the coming from my perspective, it was interesting where you had like the institutional part of the religion is trying to defend itself and its leader against something that is existentially evil,
right?
And is doing the right thing, even though he's kind of, you don't like him. He's trying to do the right thing, and then just all hell breaks loose because they don't listen and they do what they want.
He's the church bureaucrat guy. He's the guy who threw himself in front of the speeding train. You know what I mean?
But he did it for the right reason.
Yeah, he did.
But he still died.
He died on principle, but he was dead. So yes. Oh my goodness. So what a crazy run of episodes. And again, 4 of them are part of this 10 episode wrap up. So we get, and the 3 that preceded it we're like, well, they're rolling slow. We have 2 that are pretty pivotal, and then we have 1 that's fun. So the question then becomes, out of this 7, how do we choose? And we always find a way to do it. We always find a way to do it because that's our job. That's what we do. So if you're going to roll the dice and pick a favorite, what's it going to be?
I think my favorite one might have to be The Changing Face of Evil, just because there's a lot of interesting stuff going on there. Like it's kind of the turning point of this whole arc where like everything just suddenly accelerates after this.
Right. Oh God, yes.
So it's I think there's a lot going on. Like Damar lets Worf and Kira, Worf and Ezria. I think he lets them out in the previous episode, but like
he did,
But like Damar actually gets some really interesting character development.
Right.
You have the whole stuff with Wynn wrestling with the Pah-wraiths.
Right.
You get the gut wrencher of losing your favorite ship. Like, and it's not a cheap loss either. It's not like, oh well, we destroyed the Enterprise because we need a better looking ship, right? It's no, this is supposed to hurt. This is supposed to be a big deal.
Right.
So there's a lot of like emotional punches in this episode, and I think it really nails it.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I agree. I don't want to duplicate it, so I'm going to kind of step out of the arc and say the Intim Arma. And I'm silent.
I was struggling with maybe that one too. So
I liked it. I liked it so much because I love Bashir as a character. I love William Sadler as an actor, and like you said, you just don't. It's like I'm watching this again. It's been over 25 years, and you pulled something from it that I hadn't necessarily thought about. So it's one of those episodes that it's so layered, and Ron Moore. I'm looking forward to a time that we meet and then we have a time to chat, because I would love to say we talked about this episode and it's just so incredible because of all of the depth and the different kind of stuff that's going on with this. It's amazing. Plus an appearance of the Intrepid class, which I thought was a beautiful slide in. that we got to enjoy. Okay, the tougher part is what was the least favorite of the block?
Yeah,
I think it's kind of easy.
I was gonna say it kind of feels easy for me, even though it kind of feels like a douche move.
Yeah, yeah.
But as I keep saying, especially with this season, it's like it's only because I find it the weakest out of the bunch in a relative manner. It doesn't mean it's a bad episode. It's just if I have to pitch them against each other.
I still maintain that they did not have a weak segment in this season. This was, to me, the most perfect single solitary season of Star Trek, and I would knife fight anyone to try to convince me differently.
It is. I mean, Enterprise season 4 has it has a good stretch that's really, really good.
Right, but this is the brand new, fresh asphalt road, not a bump in it.
Yeah, so anyway, there's not a bad one here.
Right.
For me, it's gonna be Chimera.
Same.
Just because it's just relativity. It's just relative to everything else. It's just not quite as strong for me because like the other contender would potentially be Penumbra, just because not a ton of things happen there, but there's a lot of interesting character development for Ezri and Worf, and then there's the struggle with Sisko and the Prophets. So where you're teeing that up, which that's like a pivotal thing that continues for the rest of the arc.
Right.
So like that's the other contender, but like there's a lot going on here. Whereas Chimera, it's just other than setting up some stuff for Odo at the very, very end.
Yeah.
There's not as much going on. Like it's still good. There's still interesting stuff, but it's just not quite at the same level.
It's a tough one, but yeah, next episode is going to be an emotional one, because we're wrapping up what to me has never, I feel like can never be achieved again, which is an ending that is almost without flaw. I mean, it's not completely without flaw. There's nothing that's completely without flaw. But
I'm probably going to have a slightly spicier take on the finale itself, not like the season as a whole, but just I have nits to pick about the finale.
And the nits will be picked. And further on down the road, you can pick those nits all over again, because there will be a time that we get into talking about finales and two-parters. Yeah, it'll be very exciting. But anyway, that is our show. Friends, thank you as always for tuning in. Peter, where do people find you out there?
All right. You can find me around the interwebs at Petrus Aquinas. And I think I actually just joined Threads recently. I don't know how it works, but there I am.
It's just a place to post, which is fine. Yeah, I think they finally developed a messenger in there, but it's like, well, it's a necessary evil. What are you going to do? But anyway,
so you can find me on there. I'm not terribly active, but I put things there so people need to find me. You can primarily find me on Discord. So for the SFU Discords, and you can also find me on ELH's Twitch channel, where I'm playing a Temerian chief engineer on a coaxial drive starship, where we just considered breaking the Geneva Conventions and beaming tribbles into someone's engine room.
It all depends on if they deserve it.
And then you can also find me behind the scenes over at Starship Excelsior, and we have a new episode releasing soon.
I have to tune into this, and maybe we need to talk about it on the Discord. So wink, wink, wink. Now that you're part of the the trilogy of the Mafia, Peter is now a partner in the network since he's kind of stepping up to fill in Mark's shoes. But as I always forget to say this, but again, our website, secretfriendsunite.com, all of our free content is there, but also secretfriendsunite@gmail.com. The mailbag. If you're listening to the sound of our voice, you want to respond to what we're saying, you want to give your own takes on what we talk about here, we want to hear that from you. I always solicit comments on our socials before we record, because we'd like to read those. But send us an email if really flesh out your thoughts. But you can find me on my big three socials, which would be Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky. I am at the C3, TheCeeThree. But again, our Discord, that's where the action is. We're having fun, safe conversations about pop culture and geek stuff comics, video games, Star Trek, Star Wars, and even fantasy football. Because of Todd, I let him have that one, even though it makes no sense to me. But you know what? Love what you love.
It's all about the numbers.
It's all about numbers. Well, so with that, I'll bid you adieu. As I will say, as always, that sharing is caring, and to keep on trucking.
Peace and long life.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and podcast services around the galaxy, as well as video on our YouTube channel. You can support Secret Friends Unite by becoming a Patreon member, get bonus programs and more over at patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. Join our Discord community for even more discussions on all things geek. For all the latest updates on Secret Friends Unite, make sure to follow us on Threads at secret.friends.unite and visit secretfriendsunite.com. Find our merchandise at TeePublic and Redbubble. Thanks for listening, and may the Force live long and prosper.